Do you think we should get started now? Okay, we have a lot to cover. So my name is Mary Ann Ramsey, and I'm Director for Principal and Planned Giving. We're so glad you guys could join us today for this, our inaugural Zoom workshop for beginners. It's going to be a lot of fun. So like I said, we have a full hour packed all kinds of good info for you. So we're going to get started. I'm going to ask my colleagues that are joining me on this workshop to introduce themselves. Phoebe.
I'm Phoebe Williamson Westcott from the class of 78, and I am your alumni and alumni director at the college. And we're so glad to have you guys with us, and we really hope that it's going to be a great hour. And if there are any questions afterwards, we'll take care of those as well. So welcome. Victor?
And I am Victor Gosnell. I'm the Chief Technology Officer at the college. Oversee computer systems, phones, anything that deals with technology. And I'm just here today as a support. And of course, at any point in time, you're more than welcome to email me or contact me if you have questions that you can't get in touch with somebody at the alum office. I'm more than willing to be of assistance when I can. One thing I did want to say, since this is a beginner's class, that there is a button that you might be really interested in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. Depending on which device you're on, the menus may show a little differently, but I'm guessing that most of you are actually on a computer. And if you move your mouse cursor around the screen on the view where you see everyone, there is a menu at the bottom, usually, that will pop up. And there's also a button in the upper right-hand corner that says View. And that's what I wanted to point out. If you click that little View button in the upper right-hand corner, you can select whether you want to see the current speaker in the full screen view, or you can choose a gallery view, which will allow you to see pretty much everybody at one time. So I just wanted to make sure that you were aware. So if you wanted to see everybody, see your classmates and friends, you can do that. And if you want to focus in on who's speaking, of course, once Lauren gets started into the presentation, you'll want speaker view so you can see her screen and her full view. But in the meantime, you may want to toggle between those two views and make the choices based on your personal preference. So I'm glad to have you with us today.
As far as learning goes, speaker view would be when we're really trying to learn something, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. All right, thank you so much. Lauren, it's all yours.
Sure, my name is Lauren Grimmett. I'm the Assistant Director in the Alum Office, and my duties are around event planning. And when we moved to doing many events virtually, I had to learn a whole lot and had to learn how to present on Zoom and get programming out to you all. And we thought as we move into these winter months, our goal with this workshop is to offer you some tools on Zoom that you can use to stay connected with your friends, your family, and your classmates. Also, the Alum Office is planning a lot of virtual programming this winter, and it will be on Zoom, and we hope that you will join us for that programming. So I'm going to switch to share my screen, and we're going to go over some basics and get started here. So one thing that I'm going to ask today, our workshop is going to be set up that we will go through several how-tos. And I'm going to ask you if you have pen and paper to jot down some questions. We have some folks here today that may not need as much help as others. So we'd like to go all the way through the presentation, and then we can go back and answer questions and dive in a little bit deeper if you need additional help. And for those of you who are like, okay, I'm ready for the fancy stuff, you can stay on too, and we can learn a little bit more for those who want to leave, or we can consider doing another program. So I'm gonna let someone else in who's joining us.
How do I get myself off the screen? I don't particularly like looking at myself. It's just, but that thing is gone. That it says view options, zoom ratio, hide video panel, request remote control. But that little button he told me about isn't up there now.
Martha, are you using a
Oh, my.
computer?
Yeah.
Okay. Victor, any ideas? Is it because I'm screen sharing?
I can make a suggestion. This is Wen.
Go
Sure.
ahead.
So Martha, right now, do you see where Lauren has shared the screen on most of your screen, and then you're
Yeah. I see Lauren and Phoebe, and
right?
I can't see the name at the bottom on the right, and then there's a screen.
Okay, and you're in that strip, right? As though it's a movie strip. All you
Okay.
need to do, there should be a little down arrow at the bottom of that strip. All you need to do is press that arrow, so you are not in that group of people.
Thank you. Thank
You
you.
won't see yourself. Just
Goodbye.
press the arrow.
Goodbye. That's perfect.
Great. Thank you,
All right.
Wen.
All right.
Well, I'm
and-
going to leave now, and Lynn's in charge. Wow, that was great. That's really
I
good.
know.
Thank you.
But it's just one thing, really annoys me. No, my problem is that UVA is zooming along, and I really haven't had any instruction on Zoom, so I'm always rushing to keep up because I'm not really central to technology. So I thought this would be a really wonderful help and connect to Randolph. So
Well, and when we appreciate your help, and that's what it's all about. We're here to help one another and to learn everything we can so that we can do this virtual programming, not with our eyes closed, but maybe without thinking about it as much. So we're gonna,
And Lauren, let me add just one more
Sure.
thing really quickly. There is also on that strip on the right that she was mentioning, there's a little button at the top right again that is 3 dots. If you click on that, a menu pops up and there's a hide self view item there as well that you can click on, and that totally takes you out of the view from yourself. So anytime you see a button that has 3 little dots and lips, often if you click that, it's going to give you a menu of choices.
And if you don't
Okay.
have the 3 little dots, it means that you're off, and so you don't have to look for the 3 little dots. Okay.
okay, let's get started here. First of all, how many people are using an iPad today? Do we have any iPad users? Or is everyone on a computer? So Susan, you're
Actually-
on an iPad?
I'm on an iPhone.
Oh, great. And who is that?
This is Peggy Portner, class of 66. I am
Right.
still working 3/4 time, and I have lots and lots of meetings on Zoom. And so I'm very appreciative of this class because nobody ever taught me. I just started in April.
Well, I'm right there with you. So we're
Thank
going
you.
to work together to share our knowledge.
I
So
can't load Zoom on my business computer because I'm not an administrator, so I have to use my phone. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. And I think as we go through, there may be some different ways that people can use Zoom. It's going to be different on the computer. It's going to be a little bit different on the iPad and a little bit different on the phone. So as we go through, if you get lost, we can go back and address your specific device. So get here. So I'm guessing you all were able to download Zoom to get here. It's free, it's easy to download, and the free plan will give you 40 minutes that you can be on a meeting, and it's with 3 or more people. Now, a little trick of the trade is if you're in a meeting or let's say a get together with your friends and you're getting close to that 40 minutes, just say, hold on, go out and come back in and you can continue. So even though it's just 40 minutes, you can keep coming back in to continue your meeting. Also, some of you had expressed interest in learning how to host your own meeting. That's free also. So towards the end of the workshop, we'll talk about hosting your own meeting. And sometimes Zoom, when you click on the URL to join a meeting, it will automatically pop up saying you need to download Zoom. And that's okay. Once you've done it, you're good, and it should start automatically.
Lauren, I just want to interrupt real quickly to say, this is Phoebe, that we can send this PowerPoint to you after the session. So you don't have to write notes unless you want to.
Yep. So when you sign into Zoom, and this is on the web, when you use zoom.us sign in, after you've made an account, you will have this profile on your web portal that you can go in and set up your profile, put in your picture. You can start or host your own meetings. You can connect to meetings, and there's all kinds of settings here. We're not going to get into all those today, but I just want to show you that once you log in, you can start exploring some of these items. And if we need to, we'll have another seminar to talk about under settings. There's all kinds of stuff like virtual backgrounds and things like that. So just want to show you that that's there. To join a meeting, and I think you all did this today, you'll receive an invitation. And typically you can click on this is called a URL, and go straight to the meeting. The meeting will launch. Sometimes if you are in that web view, or you are in the Zoom app that you've downloaded, you may be asked to enter a meeting ID or a passcode. And those are right here on your invitation. Now, some of you may be in the car and you can't connect to a meeting, but you're very interested and want to go ahead and at least listen to the meeting. So what you would do is dial really any of these numbers, and then it will prompt you to enter your meeting ID and your passcode. And then you'll be able to listen to the meeting. You'll be able to talk in the meeting, but you will see if you have your smartphone video on. So you can choose to look at it. Now, if you're driving, I would turn that off and just listen, but you can use your phone there too. This is just what I wanted to show you. When you go into your web browser, there's so many different ways, but one way is to click on Join a Meeting, and you'll see this screen come up, and this is where you would type in this member meeting ID here. And then you click Join, and the next thing you're gonna see is enter your meeting passcode, and that passcode is right under the meeting ID. And you click Join Meeting. Now, when you join a meeting, like today, you all were put in a waiting room until we were ready to start the workshop. That's up to the host. The host of the meeting can set that up. Sometimes it's really helpful when we are hosting a meeting, we get together, we make sure our video's working, we make sure our audio's working, and we're ready to go for the meeting. And then we let you all in. When you are, and you don't have to do that. I think Mary Ann's going to be hosting some meetings where there is not a waiting room, but you may have to enter that meeting code and passcode. Now, once you get into your meeting, you'll see this meeting bar. When you hover over the bottom of your screen, it pops up. And these are some different features that we'll go over today to tell you what these things are. But if you go down to your screen and hover, this pops up. Now, Victor talked a little bit about this, but I want to go over this again. In Zoom, there's two different views. You have an active speaker view. This is when you can switch to a larger window This is really helpful when you have a ton of people on a meeting. Earlier this week, we had, I think, close to 60 people in a meeting, and it gets hard to follow who's speaking or who's asking questions. And so if you switch to speaker view, whoever's talking at that point would pop up on the screen. And then, as Victor also shared, you have everyone in the meeting along either the side or the top or the bottom, and you can click and drag it to wherever you want to see those people. I think some folks, most folks, I believe, were saying that theirs were on the side here. Now, gallery view, this is what you see here. And it's kind of crazy depending on how many people you have. I'm gonna go back just a little bit. One thing we have found with Zoom, Zoom shares that you can have 49 people at a time on one screen, and then up to 1,000 total. And so to move to the different screens, there's an arrow over here. If you have more than 49, you can click on it and go through each screen to see all the different people that are involved or participating in the meeting. Now, our experience, and I think it's because we go to get out of full screen mode to host, we typically see 24 to 25 people per screen. That's been our experience, but Zoom says you can see up to 49. Now, to switch between views, Victor shared this also, up in the top right corner, you'll see this little thing that says view. And when you click on it, you see it says speaker or gallery. And that's how you can toggle in between the two. And if you go to full screen, that's where you may see more of those 49 tiles if you're in a meeting that's that large. Now, for some of you who have an iPad, it's a little bit different. The iPad controls are over here on the left, and they disappear when you're not hovering over it or touching it. And so you can, again, go to speaker view or gallery view. And with the iPad, you'll only see 9 participants at a time. And you'll have to scroll through the pages to see all the participants. And then to go back, again, this is gallery view, and I want to go back to speaker view. I go back to these buttons that again disappear, but you know where they are, and you can go back and find them and toggle back and forth. Now, it's really helpful when we do our college meetings to have people's names on the screens. And it really helps to connect with some of your classmates that you may have not seen in a really long time. And so we've encouraged people to change their name to be first, maiden, last in your class year. Now, in order to change it, you go down to that toolbar that we talked about and hover over it so it pops up, and you'll see where it says participants. If you click on that, you'll start seeing a participant panel that shows you everyone in the meeting. And you can click on your name, and you'll see that it says rename. And this screen will pop up. And this is where you would put your first name, maiden name, last name, and class year. And after you do that, you hit OK. Now, this is Zoom audio. Some people with that mute, unmute button, it's really hard to know. I know sometimes I forget, and you hear in many Zoom meetings saying, you're muted. You need to unmute yourself. So this is how you do it. When you are in a Zoom meeting, you're required to either have a microphone or required to have a microphone either on your computer, your iPad, or your telephone. Most devices, when you log into the meeting or set up Zoom for the first time, will ask you if you want to join audio, join with computer audio, or audio. I always use computer audio because that's what I use most of the time. And when you click that, it's pretty automatic. I also want you to know that the host also has control over your audio. I see a couple of you all have your microphones on, and I can go into the participant screen and mute you. I also have the capability to mute everyone, and sometimes that's helpful. When you have a great big class meeting and everyone's saying, hi, 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 and we want to start a meeting and have a couple of things to share, that's where we can mute everyone and start with a leader of the group to start the meeting. You can also, in that participant panel, look at yourself and see if you are muted or not, and if your video is on or not. This is from the meeting that Phoebe and I had last week, or earlier this week. Okay, to unmute yourself, this is another way to do it outside of that participant panel. Again, this is your toolbar down at the bottom, that if you hover over it, it pops up. On the far left side, you'll see a microphone here, and you can click that to mute and unmute. And when you click this arrow up, there's some other options there that we're not going to get into today, but we can explore that, or you can explore it on your own. Victor, throughout the semester, or started last spring, has been sharing with our college community DigiKnows. And these are little tricks of the trade, shortcuts that you can use for Zoom. And if a quick way to mute and unmute is Alt-A. And this is mute, unmute, you can just toggle that. A being audio, unmute, audio. So it's Alt-A. And the same with video, it's very similar to the audio. This again is at the toolbar at the bottom. You'll see your video camera here. Now, when we say video, that really is your picture of your tile that you see on the screen. And you can click it on or off by going to that toolbar. Another shortcut is Alt-V, that's start or end the video. The arrow up button gives you, again, more settings and things if you want to do a virtual background, some other things there that you can choose. And again, we can explore that a little bit later. I wanted to show you in a meeting what it looks like with people using different video options. This is from a meeting we did earlier this week. And you can see most people have their live stream or their camera on, participating in the meeting. I'm going to share that that's really helpful. It's really helpful in a virtual world to be able to see people's reactions, and just like you're in a regular meeting, to have more person-to-person contact. However, there's times, let's say you have a really messy room and you don't want people to see it, or you're taking care of children, grandchildren, and they're climbing all over the place. Or in my case, my cat is walking across the screen. You can click off your video, and in your profile, you may have uploaded your professional picture. And that's what this young lady has here, is her professional picture that pops up when she has her video off. And when you don't have a profile picture up, you'll see this person, Jackson Jacobs, doesn't have his picture up. It's just a black tile, but it still shows his name. So I wanted to show you what the different ones look like. Now, now we're getting into, you want to host your own Zoom meeting. There are so many ways to do this. we are going to focus on using the Zoom web portal. And this is where you go to zoom.us/sign-in. And so when you go there, this menu pops up. And over here, I don't have a screenshot of that. It has your sign-in information. It asks if you want to host a meeting, join a meeting, schedule a meeting. Again, there are so many different ways to do this. The way that I'm going to show you, this is that left-hand navigation panel that you'll see on zoom.us when you sign in. And if you want to host a meeting, you go to meetings, so you click it. And then this pops up. You go to topic, you call your meeting whatever you want, class chat. Let's say it's a family reunion. My cousin today is planning a Zoom, Thanksgiving Zoom for all the Bartlows in my family. So I would call it something like that. Description, you really don't have to put anything down. Sometimes this is just a memory that a reminder we use to say what the focus of our meeting is going to be, trying to help people stay on topic. Then you can schedule your date. You click on this and it's a calendar, and then you can click on the date that you want to pick. And then you can schedule your time. Zoom does it in half-hour increments. Let's say for some reason you want to start your meeting at 12:15. You're going to have to start it at 12, even though you don't go in to start it at 12. And that's okay. I'll show you how to adjust the invitation so that people know that it starts at 12:15. Or you can avoid all that and decide it's either on the hour or half hour that you start your meeting. The duration, in a basic plan, you can do it for 20, well, again, it lasts for 40 minutes, but you can do as many as you want. The alum office, we've purchased a pro plan, which is $16 a month. Hold on a second. It's $16, just under $16 a month, and we can have 24-hour meetings if we want to. I don't think we want to, but that is an option with the pro plan. Inviting others to your Zoom meeting. So this is when you go to meetings, and it'll give you an option here. You'll be able to look at any upcoming meetings that you've scheduled, any meetings you've held in the past. And then these things I'm not going to really get into. I'm not using them right now, and it's more advanced, and you can kind of play around with that when you get a little bit more familiar with it. But let's say we want to invite people to an upcoming meeting. So I click upcoming, and then you'll see all the meetings that you have scheduled. And we are going to invite people to Kyle Anderson's Zoom meeting. So I click on the title of that meeting. Once I click on it, it gives me all the information about that meeting. And to invite attendees, I come over here and I copy the invitation. If I click this button, again, my meeting pops up. I go down to invite attendees, and I click copy the invitation. This is what pops up. This is what you all may be used to seeing from our office. You see the meeting invitation. You can click copy the meeting invitation and then go to an email of your friends, your family, and start an email, and then paste this into the body of the email. And then folks will know when it is, what the URL is. They may join with a meeting ID and password. They may join by a phone, but all that information is there in that invitation. So, okay, we have set up our meeting. We've invited people to the meeting. Now we're going to start the meeting. So we go back then to the Zoom web portal, zoom.us/sign in, and you look at your meetings. Meetings are on that left-hand panel. Go to upcoming meetings, and you see that they're listed here. And you click on the title of that meeting, or you can just go to that title of that meeting and click Start. The other way to do it is open up the meeting, and it will give you a Start the Meeting box that you click. And then Zoom will automatically launch the start of your meeting. Now, the last thing, a lot of folks that we found when we started going virtual, people were concerned about Zoom security. And Zoom has looked at so many different things, and I'm not going to go into this all, but if you type in Zoom security in Google Chrome, it takes you to their website, and I'm not sure this link is going to work, but we'll give it a try. And if I slide it over here, can you all see this?
Yes.
Okay, great. So Zoom has given us, and this is a really long URL. So I'll type that out to include in your PDF, or you can go to your browser and type in Zoom security to get to this page. And you can learn more about protecting your meetings, protecting your data, and protecting your privacy. So if you have any concerns or would just like to read about that, I would encourage you to do that. So then you need to leave a meeting. You've had a great time reconnecting with your family, classmates, and now it's time to go. So then you go down to the bottom of your screen and toggle over that menu bar. In the far right, you'll see a button that says End. Now, for some reason you have to leave a meeting early, that's okay. You can do the same thing. Go over and just click End. A confirmation box will pop up that says, do you really want to leave the meeting? You just click that and say yes. So that's it for our basic workshop today. I wanted to share with you all our email addresses and our names of who's on this meeting. And this will be in a PDF that I send you with a survey for today. And please know that we are here to help you walk through setting up a Zoom meeting, participating in a Zoom meeting, whatever you need. We are here to help you do that. Some other things that we could talk about after I go over these things. I'm not going to go over them, but if you want to learn more, you can stay on, or we can schedule another meeting. But now's the time I'd really like to hear if you have any questions, and we can go back and review some of the things we've learned today. So I'm going to stop sharing, and we can go back and take some questions.
I have a question.
Does anyone have a question?
I have a question, Lamar.
Yes.
Would you also provide us the emails of our classmates if we needed them?
I'm going to pass that on to Phoebe.
Yes, we can do that.
Yes.
We can do that. And we really encourage you to connect and schedule a Zoom meeting. It might be fun. A number of you have done that. And Joanne can tell us how much fun it is. And we hope to have a lot of those during the winter months when we're all stuck in the house.
Yes.
For all of you that are in reunion, we do have some Zoom class chats planned to reconnect your whole class. And we will be working with our staff and your class leadership to set those up and get those invitations out.
And they will take place in January.
Now, Phoebe, we need another chat.
Yes, you do.
It worked so well.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
I have a question for, you get extra credit if you can look at Victor and tell me what room he is in on campus. Does anyone know? It's one of my favorites.
No.
I'll give you a hint. It's in Smith.
And Martha, you're muted. I see your lips moving.
Martha, can you unmute?
Okay. I'm just saying, I'm in the class of 55. I don't even remember
Good for you. That's
anything,
outstanding.
hardly anything. I mean, I couldn't tell you what rooms were there. So,
Well, does anyone have a guess?
I'd say Ribble.
Really close, really close.
I was
Yeah.
about to guess that it was the senior parlor when we were there in Maine. But
No, oh, I loved that parlor. Yeah, no, this is in Smith and it's upstairs, whereas Ribble is downstairs. It's directly above Ribble and we call it the Jack room.
okay.
It's a beautiful space.
Ashley Jack.
Ashley Jack.
And Victor, I'm guessing you are not really there, and that is a virtual background.
Yep.
That is correct. And if you would like to see some newer architecture, we actually have a fountain area out in the back now that many of you may not have seen yet. Seating and meeting area and a fountain.
Wow.
And that actually, for those of you, well, many of you would remember, that was main dining hall back in the day with the chapel, with the rec above that. Beautifully done. If you haven't seen it, next time, and I hope it'll be soon, you get to campus, you have to check it out.
And I think my room's junior year was up there in A behind rec.
Yes.
We had a nice little parlor up there and it was an active bridge game. That was dangerous.
So is there any questions about the basics? Yes, Ellen?
Thank you. So I changed my name. Thank you very much.
Sure.
I've been having to go by my husband's name all the time. When you were talking about typing in your ID and password, because sometimes you need it, this may not be a part of the Zoom platform, but I never, once I click on that, my email goes away. So I don't have it there to type in the password. How do you stop that from happening?
I think it would, if you go down to your menu bar, not in Zoom, but in your computer,
Right.
if you click back on your email
Right.
thing,
Apple Mail.
your
Right.
email will pop back up and you can copy and paste that meeting ID and then go back to Zoom and put it in.
Okay.
Or just write it down.
I've
before
been, once Zoom has come on, once I've clicked on my link and it's come on, I'm always afraid to touch anything else on the computer.
Well, and I would encourage you,
right.
all of us have just learned very quickly since last spring.
Right.
And it really is trial and error. You can't break it. So I would say, find a buddy and go in there and just keep trying different things.
Right.
Ellen, are you using Windows?
No, I'm on Apple.
Ah, sorry. I have so many active windows on my computer right now that it makes it easy to switch back and forth between things.
Sorry,
Right.
yes. Opening more than one window at a time helps.
Amy, did you have a question?
Yes, I do. I want to know how to get a photograph on my little box when I want to, do that.
Yes.
And I mean, I've poked around on Zoom some and I can't find the place where I can upload a photograph.
Sure. I'm going to go back to my presentation and show you where you can find that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, that didn't work the way I wanted it to. This is when you log into Zoom, zoom.us, sign in. You'll see this information on the left as a navigation menu. And if you go to profile, this is where what will pop up is an opportunity to upload your picture. And if I go to stop sharing my screen and turn off my video, you can see that I've uploaded a picture of the college campus main hall there. So by going to profile, you can pick what you want to be there.
Thank you.
Sure.
Also, if you press your escape button, I have a laptop, Dell laptop. If you press the escape button, you get the line of options below to go back to email, for instance, to get that password that you might need, if that makes sense.
Most of the time you don't need it.
So if there's any interest in today looking at some of these fancy features, we're happy to dive in there. Some things that we could talk about is the chat box and how to use that, sharing your screen, virtual backgrounds, using a polling thing. That's neat for classes. If you're doing a class vote, you can poll one another. And then we have some feedback icons that you can say a smiley face or hurry up and move on without having to say anything. Or we can offer another Zoom class.
I have some questions about the chat.
Sure.
I feel like I've done hundreds of meetings and webinars and things in these last months, and I always get messed up when you go into the chat and they want you to fill out a form in the chat. So you click on the link, you go to the form. I can never get back to the Zoom. I can hear things, but I can never get back. And I'm wondering, is that something that there's an easy solution to?
I would suggest, and Victor, please jump in, down again at the bottom of my computer, it shows me all the different applications I have open. And when I'm in the chat and they send me to a Google form to fill something out and I want to get back, I just go down to that little blue video camera, which is the app for Zoom. And I click on that and I can come back to the Zoom meeting.
Great, great. Thank you.
Sure.
And I'll share one other little tip that might be helpful if you can't find your toolbar or you're having issues. You can always, and if you've got a PC, this won't necessarily work on a Mac, or it won't work on a phone or an iPad. But if on your Mac, on your PC, if you'll hold down the Alt key, the Alt key, while holding that down, tap the Tab key. And as you tap the Tab key, it will show you all the windows that you have open, all the programs that are currently running on your computer. And as long as you hold down the Alt key, every time you press the Tab key, it moves and highlights one of those windows or one of those icons that shows you what you have open. So when it highlights around the Zoom meeting, then release the Alt key, and there it is. So Alt Tab, and that works whether you're in Zoom or no matter what you're doing on your computer. If you're kind of lost, where am I? How do I get back to a window? Hold down Alt,
Wow.
tap Tab, and it takes you around to whichever window you want.
But if you're on a Mac, then you just go and click on the Zoom icon at the bottom of your screen.
Correct.
I'll bet that's not true on a phone.
No, phones are a lot more limited, unfortunately.
They rule.
I would like to know more about the virtual backgrounds, please.
Okay, well, I can dive into that, and I am really going to hope Victor is there with me, because my current computer is too old to do a virtual background, so I haven't been successful, but I think I know how to do it. So I'm going to go to share screen. I'm going to say if any of you all want to leave the meeting, go ahead. You're welcome to stay around and we can work with you individually. But right now we're going to dive into virtual backgrounds. So I'm going to share my screen again.
And while you're doing that, Betsy, where are you? I see your virtual background. You've already got it up. That's a very picturesque building you've got in the background there.
It's the courthouse in my hometown,
Very nice.
Fayette County, Tennessee.
Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so for virtual backgrounds, you go into your Zoom web portal. And you go to that navigation menu where the profile thing is, and you go down to settings. And then you'll see a lot of different tabs. And we're going to look at the meeting tab. And you scroll down until you see the virtual background option. And you need to make sure that the setting is enabled to use virtual background. And that's what this button is over here. Now, Zoom has some backgrounds that are built in that you can use. And you can also upload ones that you may want, like Victor with the college. And then during a meeting, once you have enabled a virtual background, you can go down to your menu bar and hover over it so it pops up. Go to video, click that arrow up, and then go down to where it says choose virtual background. And you can select that and then select which background you'd like to use. Okay, so there are some opportunities to have very, very clear backgrounds. Like Victor is utilizing a green screen behind him. And that gives him very vivid colors and picture. Sometimes when you don't have a green screen, you'll see like fuzziness around your hair or around your clothes. We had one situation where a student walked behind a presenter and all of a sudden the presenter had a floating hand behind her. So if you want a really bright, crisp virtual background, you may have to look at a green screen. Now I'm going to share with you, oh, there's this green screen. You can buy one at home. When I was messing around with one, I hung up a green tablecloth behind me and had the same effect. And then I'm going to go to this last screen here. There are some troubleshooting things that you need to do with virtual backgrounds. Like we said, you need to make sure the setting is enabled. Sometimes your background color, you have to pick one that, let's say you have a navy blue shirt on, you don't want to use a navy blue background. or same with green background. You don't want to use a green shirt that day. You also want to make sure your background is a solid color, and that will help have a clearer picture. And I think that's all I had on virtual backgrounds. Victor, do you have anything to add?
Thank you.
Sure.
I have a question on virtual backgrounds. So Victor, in my art group, sometimes we want to put one of our pieces of art up from our photographs. And every time I select, it doesn't happen to the other people, I have a Mac. When I select my painting, it turns it upside down on the virtual background.
Does it turn it upside down or does it mirror it?
No, it turns it upside down.
Yeah, that's one I have not heard.
I've gone into my photos and flipped the photograph of the painting upside down, and then it comes right side up.
That's the first time I've heard that. I know that you can select whether you want your view, your personal view when you're looking at yourself, to be either mirrored or normal. Most of us pick mirrored because that's the way we're used to looking at ourselves, is in a mirror, and it just makes more sense. But I've never had an experience where someone had their background flipped upside down. So I don't know if there is a checkbox somewhere that I haven't noticed that allows you to do that or not.
I wasn't doing it the same way that y'all just explained to do it. I did it a short, just going down to virtual background and clicking right there and then uploading it. But I'll try what y'all said. Maybe that'll work.
Another way you may be able to share your art is through just sharing your screen. If you have photos of it.
Oh, that's a good idea. Okay.
So Lauren, if you don't mind, I'll share my screen for just a minute. If I can get this done here. Actually, do you have, I don't think you must have me not able to share my screen. That's okay. I was going to show how to go in and add a picture from your computer, but it doesn't seem that I have the ability
Victor,
to share.
I just made you the host, so you should be able to.
Okay, I may have to leave and go back. Oh, no, there it is, share screen. Got it. All right, so let me go ahead and share this screen. So now you should be able to see my Zoom screen now. And go back to here. And of course, I can't see it now. There we go. Nope. Here we go. All right, so I am going to go into the little drop down arrow for your video, and I'm going to choose a virtual background from the menu. Can you see my menu?
No.
No.
Okay. So when I'm sharing my screen, it doesn't allow me to show the controls. So I'll try to talk through this as best I can. Once you get into it, then there is a list of all the virtual backgrounds that you have available. And then on the right-hand side, just above the list of the views that you have available, there's a small square that has a plus mark in it. And if you hover over that, a tag pops up that says add image or video. And if you click on that, you can then navigate to different file folders on your computer, wherever you have your images located, and select an image, and it will put it into your virtual background list. So you can have pretty much as many virtual backgrounds as you want and alternate between them at will. So that's all I was going to share, and since I can't share my menu that pops up, I'm going to turn it back over to Lauren.
Well, was there anything else in our fancy tricks that you all were interested in learning about? I have chats, sharing your screen, polling, and feedback icons. Or we can answer any other questions that you have. Colin, I need to unmute you.
I'd like to hear more about sharing the screen not related to the virtual background or trying to add a screen.
Okay. I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint presentation. Okay, so when you're sharing your screen in Zoom, and this might be a neat way if you want to share pictures, or if you're able to take pictures of a yearbook or something like that, you can put it on your computer and then go to share that screen. As a host of a meeting, I can determine who's allowed to share their screen. Most of the time, I allow both the hosts and the participants to do it. Sometimes you have to ask permission of the host to share your screen. So you would click the share screen button on the menu. And again, this is the toggle menu that pops up, and you'll see share screen. And I click that and it turns green. And then what you will see, I don't know if I can see a picture of this. No. What you will see is everything that's on your screen, and you click the window that you want to share, and then click share.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
And again, that's something that I think just to test it out would be great. The one thing I learned the other day is if I want to share a tab on my browser, I have to go back and click share and a tab in order to show it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Sure. And then to stop sharing, you just click stop share.
Would you talk about polling, please?
Sure. So polling has been really useful. We've used it with some of the class reunion committees. It's neat because you can get an instant response to people. And again, it has to be set up in your settings for polling. So you can toggle yes or no, you want to do polling. And the host would launch it, and the host needs to type in a question. And then when you hit polling, the question pops up, and people will have an opportunity, usually it's multiple choice, to pick which answer they would like to do. And you click submit. And then the host would be able to click share polling information. You see a graph of all the responses, and you can see which one has the most or the least. I think that's it for my polling. Yep, pretty easy. But again, it's something that we have had to practice.
I don't know if we said this earlier, but we are recording this so that we could send you the recording if you want to share it with a friend or family member or review it yourself later. So that's always an option.
I will also do a plug for Randolph Connect. It's randolphconnect.com. It's free. It's a networking platform that the college uses for alums, current students, parents, friends of the college, faculty, staff. And any of our virtual recordings or programming, we are posting on Randolph Connect. You would just need to set up a username and a password, and then go to Wildcat Resources, and you can see every program that we've offered so far. And I'll be posting this how-to there too.
I have a quick question. Lauren, you might know the answer to this, or Victor. Is there a shortcut for leaving a meeting?
I believe there is. If you hold your mouse cursor over the end button, a little pop-up shows up and it says end, and then in parentheses, Alt Q. So you can hold down the Alt key and press the letter Q for quit.
And so since they're hosts, theirs says end, ours says leave. But it's the same thing. It is Alt Q.
Oh, I see. Okay. So just Alt Q,
Yeah.
and that'll take me out. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Phoebe.
Well, we are at 1 hour. Thank you so much. It's been great. I'll send out a survey along with the PDF. If you could let us know what you think. If you think we should offer something like this again in December, January, and what content you would like to have. We would love to get your classmates on Zoom so you all can reconnect, and more the merrier.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good
Thank
job.
you. It's great to see you.
Thank you.
Hey, good.
Thank you for joining us.
I'm Mary Catherine. It's Mary Ann Ramsey.
Bye,
Bye.
Lamar. Thank you.
Good to see you all.
Yes, you too. Take care. Stay well.
Yes.